So when I was 14, I had acne, which isn't shocking. Puberty, hormone stress, my microbiome was basically a science experiment, fueled by Hot Pockets and more processed food. But back then, nobody really talked about that. And when I say back then, I'm talking about late 90s, early 2000s. What I was told was simple. You go on birth control. Nobody asked what I was eating. Nobody asked about my gut health. No one asked about inflammation, insulin spikes, or what flooding a developing endocrine system might look like when you're shoving synthetic pills down someone's throat. Just here, take this. So I did. And I'm not gonna lie, I woke up one morning and I had boobs. I wasn't upset about it. But my acne, I didn't see a huge change. And my mood, I will say it definitely shifted. And not in a good way. I felt completely depleted and super tired all the time.
Birth control has so many side effects that aren't even on the label that people aren't aware of. And let me just quote one study. If somebody takes birth control long term, around up to, let's say, 10 years, their chance of getting hypothyroidism goes up by 287%. So, I mean, think about how many...
And this is the pill that we're talking about? Okay.
Yeah, this is the oral pill.
Okay.
So think about how many girls got put on at 16 years old, got put on birth control. And then all of a sudden, sometime in their 20s, they get diagnosed with hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's probably the number one thing I see in my practice. And here's what people don't know. What are the biggest vitamin and mineral deficiencies that birth control causes? B1, B2, B3, B6, B9, B12, selenium, zinc, and good bacteria. So your body becomes so depleted of nutrients when you take birth control. And that's not something, that's why every medication depletes your body of some sort of vitamin and mineral. Some it's 1 or 2, like birth control, it's over 10. And those are the exact nutrients that your body needs for a process called methylation. It's a genetic variant that some people have. A lot of people, actually 40%. And so if those women took birth control and then also had this gene, their body is going to be so depleted that they will end up with hypothyroidism.
And again, I wrote it off as hormones because that's what a lot of medical professionals tell you. Then came the next step in the algorithm. Let's try you on some doxycycline. Because if hormones don't work, obviously antibiotics will. I was on it for over a year. Did it help my skin? Not really.
Your body is a bacterial microbiome. These bacteria are what help you live and what help your organs thrive and survive. Your gut is your second brain. It is such an important system in your body, and it is almost fully composed of these beneficial bacteria that you need. You may develop a condition called intestinal permeability, leaky gut. That is the root cause of so many autoimmune conditions. There is a root cause for your acne, typically either hormonal, gastrointestinal, or toxicity, or liver. Could be your liver. Stop being put on prescriptions of antibiotics that are ruining your health and ruining your body, and start taking functional medicine lab tests that are actually going to tell you what the underlying root cause is of your acne so that you can go and fix it with a completely holistic and natural protocol.
Did it likely disrupt my gut microbiome during a critically developmental window? Almost certainly. But again, no conversation, no warnings, no this is what might unfold later. Then at 17, I heard, hey, have you tried Accutane? Yeah, the one where you have to sign a waiver before you even start the medication because it can cause suicidality in adolescence.
It's about the Accutane journey.
I did 2 rounds of it, and I later found out that my liver had really paid for this. It was just so clear. In fact, one of my practitioners looked at my labs, had never known anything about my Accutane journey, and said, let me guess, you were on Accutane. He says, I see this all the time, and he says it can take a couple years to recover from this.
And then you were mentioning to me epigenetics. We can actually see that Accutane is causing problems in our children later on.
Yes, they're finding that there's first generation at least ramifications of Accutane in some studies. Listen, I mean, you can't take a drug that strong and think that it's just hitting that one isolated issue in your body. You know, you're burning down the barn to kill the rats. And unfortunately, our body does keep a score.
You need monthly labs. You need monthly blood draws, monthly pregnancy tests, because it can be that damaging to your body. And honestly, at 17, I didn't read any of the fine print. I just wanted my skin to clear. And my acne still didn't magically disappear. My mood tanked, and everybody, including myself, chalked it up to teenage angst. But here's the thing, guys. When you're mixing hormones, antibiotics, and a powerful acne medication into a developing system, and then we act surprised when things shift mentally or physically, like, should we be surprised? And I want to know what caused what. Fast forward to my late teens, early 20s. I'm told by my PCP that I need the Gardasil vaccine. Kelly, you're high risk. Take this. Again, no real discussion about risks versus benefits. Just a lot of fear-based urgency. And at the time, I didn't know any better.
Unfortunately, we've seen certain individuals after getting the Gardasil vaccine has sustained serious autoimmune injury, including autoimmune diseases like POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, ovarian failure, premature ovarian failure, and those are sort sort of the two primary injuries that we've seen.
Not long after that, I started developing joint pain and brain fog significantly. And I didn't connect the dots. I didn't even know dots could be connected. Then I go for my routine Tdap booster when I'm 25. My PCP says, Kelly, you're overdue on your Tdap. Okay.
If you step on a rusty nail, you should have had a tetanus shot, right? Well, that's what we've been told. The tetanus shot changed everything for me. It was the last toxin I ever had injected in my body and made me so incredibly sick that it forced me to look into what was actually in it. Believe it or not, tetanus vaccines are usually made from rotting organs, something worth knowing if you're vegan or vegetarian. They use cow heart and boil it in water to create an environment for Clostridium tetani, the bacteria that produces the tetanus toxin, to grow. They then neutralize the toxin with formaldehyde and mix it with aluminum adjuvants. No wonder it made me feel like death. Another thing that people should know is that tetanus doesn't even come from rust at all. It actually comes from a bacteria that lives in horse or cow manure and sometimes soil or dust. So unless you're working on a farm or walking barefoot through manure, your risk of tetanus is extremely low. And if you have a milk allergy, the tetanus vaccine contains casein and can cause fatal anaphylaxis, yet most people are never warned about this. Getting the booster every 10 years is also another vaccine schedule joke, as studies have shown that there's no difference in protection between people who get the booster every 10 years versus those who receive it every 30.
That night I'm burning up. My neck is completely stiff and I can't move it. My lymph nodes are completely swollen and my throat feels like it's closing up. I go to the emergency room and I'm told it's an allergic reaction. Awesome. They give me an intramuscular injection of epinephrine. So why am I even talking about this? Because so many of us are living in medical systems that we don't even understand what we're being given. We're not told what to watch for. And we're taught that questioning equals being difficult. We don't like those difficult patients in healthcare. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most healthcare professionals are not malicious. They're compliant and they repeat what they're taught. They follow protocols blindly. They move fast and they don't always often have time or permission to say, hey, here are the real risks. And here's what we fully don't understand. Here's where the data may be a little thin. And when patients are blindly following providers who are blindly following systems, your autonomy kind of disappears. Again, these conversations aren't about being anti-medicine or anti-vaccine. This is all about informed consent and actually being informed. Not being handed paperwork that you don't even have time to read. Not being rushed into decisions, not being guided by fear. It's about asking, why is this the first line treatment? I want to know what the long-term consequences are. And if you don't have the data, fine, tell me. And are there any alternatives? I would much rather have a provider tell me they don't know than bullshit me. Because bodily autonomy means you get to ask questions without being judged. It means that your hesitation doesn't make you ignorant. It means your consent isn't extracted through fear. Medicine needs to be a collaboration, not this crazy conveyor belt. Maybe the most radical thing that we can actually do is work together, not follow a mental script that starts with birth control, doxycycline, Accutane, repeat. And if that doesn't work, there's always another protocol lined up. It just all feels so calculated. And sometimes it feels like we stop seeing the individual and we start seeing the flow sheet. Because the reality is our healthcare system isn't built for that. It's built for efficiency. It's built for the algorithms and time limits. Next time you see your PCP, ask them how many patients they see in a day. I think the amount would surprise you. And the moment a patient advocates for themselves, it feels like the doctor takes it personally. Like questioning the plan means questioning their authority. And that's not the case. When really it's just someone trying to understand what's going on in their body.